I beat every Borderlands game in 2025.
Smoking Jesus titties cinnamon, that is a monster! That's gonna be sweet!
With Borderlands 4 right around the corner, I thought it'd be perfect time to take a step back and revisit the series. I wanted to see how well these games hold up in 2025. For this video, I played through every mainland Borderlands game. Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, the pre-sequel, Borderlands 3, and Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I didn't play the Telltale series this time around. I've heard the first one is fantastic, but with Borderlands 4 released so close, I didn't have enough time to dive in. As for DLC, I tackled most of them. Some I played through fully, others I bounced off. Either way, I'll give you my honest thoughts on what I played from all of them. It took me 3 months to play through everything, script this video, and get it all edited together. So if you enjoyed this content, please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment, subscribing, and sharing it around. It really does help a lot. And don't worry, you can bet I'll be playing Borderlands 4 the second it drops this September. With that said, let's jump in and take a look back at the Borderlands series.
What about treasure hunters? Have I got a story for you?
Stairs? No!
I can't remember the exact moment I first heard about Borderlands, but I do remember being instantly intrigued. A first-person shooter mixed with RPG elements, and the kicker, you could play couch co-op with a friend? If I'm being honest, the FPS/RPG angle wasn't what sold me. It was the couch co-op. To this day, the easiest way to get me to buy a game is to slap co-op online and couch co-op right on the box. That's literally why I own Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 on multiple systems.
What the fuck?
So when I heard about Borderlands, I was sold. I grabbed it day one. Funny thing is, I ended up playing it mostly solo, but you know what? I really enjoyed it. The loot system pulled me in immediately. Back in 2009, the only games I played with a similar loot grind were Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 and World of Warcraft. But combining that style of loot chase with the look and feel of a shooter, that was something fresh, and it hooked me. That's where my journey with this series began, and now, 16 years later, I'm still a fan, and just as excited to see what's cooking for the next Borderlands. But for now, let's go back and talk about Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 was a game changer for me back in 2009. I had never played anything like it before. This was the birth of the looter shooter genre, a mix of fast-paced FPS action with RPG depth and an addictive loot grind. It's wild to think that this game and others sparked a wave that would eventually lead to Destiny, Outriders, Warframe, and so many more. Once I got the game started, I'll explain later, it started a whole wave of nostalgia that slapped me across the face. I wrote in my notes, "Ain't no rest for the wicked, always slaps." I might not remember a lot of the game or what the story was, but I will always remember "Ain't no rest for the wicked."
Is it a banger?
When I think about Borderlands 1, the first thing that comes to mind is its guns. But second is that cel-shaded comic book look. Does it still hold up?
Unfortunately, no.
But at the time, it was pretty revolutionary. It's wild to think that the game originally started with a hyper-realistic art style, but right before launch, they switched directions. And honestly, that decision was huge. It gave Borderlands a unique identity, something that set it apart and stuck with the series ever since. Where the game really shines is gameplay and replayability. You start with 4 Vault Hunters. Mordecai, the sniper with his pet Bloodwing. Roland, the soldier with his turret. Lilith, the siren with her phase walk. And Brick, the berserker who loves punching things to death. Each has 3 skill trees, tons of build variety, and you can respec anytime. That freedom kept me experimenting, and it gave the game huge replay value. Personally, I rolled Roland, mostly because I like turrets, and since I was playing solo, I leaned into the support tree for survivability. The loop is simple. Grab quests, kill enemies, get loot, repeat. And yeah, it can feel repetitive, but the chase for a new gun, something stronger, weirder, or with crazy stats, kept me hooked. that grind was addicting. Enemies ranged from skags to psychos, with bosses acting as bullet spongy tests of your build. And I loved that. It pushed you to tweak your skills, experiment, and keep chasing loot. At the end of the day, Borderlands 1 is all about gameplay first, story second. That constant chase for better guns and new builds is why the series exploded and why it was so fun to replay with different characters. And before I get into what I didn't like about the game, let's talk about DLC.
I probably went about this all the wrong way. I'm a doctor. I make people better. I just wanted everyone to be okay.
The first DLC for Borderlands 1 was the zombie island of Dr. Ned, where you are sent to Jacob's Cove after the weapon manufacturer Jacobs Corporation needs help investigating unusual occurrences. I remember really enjoying this DLC the first time I played it, but coming back to it now, my perspective has completely changed. The story had its funny moments, but nothing that really stuck with me. The enemies, specifically the zombies, were the worst part, constantly slowing me down and breaking my momentum, which made the whole experience frustrating. On top of that, the weapons didn't feel unique or different enough to stand out. As much as it pains me to say this DLC is a skip for me.
That's so sad, man. That is so sad.
The second DLC brought a series character into the mix with Mad Moxie.
New rules! Welcome to the Underdome!
Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot is a fun arena-style DLC that added a wave-based system to test your might and build. It honestly took me forever to finish one section of it, and seeing that if you die, you start all the way over, I didn't finish it. Playing solo didn't help me push through this content, but overall I still had fun. It's definitely worth giving it a try. The third DLC, The Secret Armory of General Knox, throws you up against the Atlas Corporation, who are furious after their defeat on Pandora. To regain control, they send in General Knox and the Crimson Lance, setting the stage for a full-scale showdown.
I got the ride.
All right, this is General Knox. I don't really want to be here. This planet smells like hemorrhoids wrapped in bacon. I sent Steel to this planet to take care of this little problem, and also because, seriously, have you heard her? She talks all the time. And hello, have you met our friend the Sun? So, I guess, thanks for turning her into a meat kebab. Also, I'm gonna kill you and stuff. Cheers, mate.
I didn't play this DLC the first time I went through Borderlands 1, but revisiting it, I can see why it's often considered one of the best expansions. From the engaging story beats to the new vehicles and the massive detailed map, it's clear a lot of care and love went into crafting this content. Even though I didn't finish it this time around, the hours I spent were thoroughly enjoyable. For anyone looking to experience a Borderlands DLC done right, this one is absolutely worth giving a try.
You're on camera, by the way, and this is the first non-rerun that we've all seen in like 14 years. The Chaz even made chili cheese fries. Chaz is really nice. Hey, I'm not into him. No way. And if you're looking for the girl, I can assure you she is unharmed. Shit, not that we wouldn't. I mean, we'd totally harm her. I'm thinking of harming her right now. Maybe Chaz will come too.
The last DLC that was released for Borderlands 1 was Claptrap's new robot revolution. The Hyperion Corporation is cleaning up Pandora, and they deploy an army of Claptraps to do their bidding. Fortunately for them, things turn for the worse when the Claptrap interplanetary ninja assassin turn against their Hyperion masters and rise up in rebellion. Claptrap's new robot revolution is a hard pass for me. I did 3 quests in this DLC that were all the same thing. Get parts from Claptrap units and repeat 40 to 50 to 100. I hated it because I was constantly doing the same thing, and the Claptraps wouldn't even drop all the parts in one go, so I would have to leave the map and go back in to reset the enemies. From my impressions, it was not worth it and a hard skip for me.
Sorry, I was just thinking about the horrors I've seen since coming to Pandora. Won't happen again, I promise.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't hold up. First off, the launcher is broken. If you try to run it through Steam, you just get an error. The only workaround is digging into the game folder and making a desktop shortcut for the .exe. Honestly, I can see a lot of people just giving up right there. Then there's the memory leak issue, and it's still around even now. You can start at a smooth 130 FPS, but after a few hours, it tanks to below 30. The only fix is restarting the game every couple hours, which gets super annoying. For me, that was a huge problem. Story-wise, it's just the start of the series. It gives you a reason to kill stuff and grab loot, but that's about it. And the side quests, forgettable. Almost all of them are just go here, kill this, get loot. Now let's talk about the map. It's awful. It never makes it clear if an objective is above or below you, which led to a ton of confusion. Spoiler alert, this problem never really went away in later games. On top of that, there are invisible walls everywhere. You think you found a shortcut? Nope. Wall, which kills any reason to explore, because you are never sure if the game will even let you get where you're going. Let's be real here. The game is ugly, like festival toilet ugly. Brown, red, more brown. I get it, Pandora's a wasteland, but it's not a fun look. One smaller issue that bugged me, once you pop your special ability, you are locked into it. You can't cancel early, which feels clunky compared to later games that fixed it. On that note, if you have your special out, for me, it was my turrets. If you go down, you immediately lose that special. It was very frustrating, especially for a solo player like myself. So yeah, Borderlands 1 has plenty of problems, and some of them are major. But here's the thing, it didn't stop me from enjoying it. Despite its flaws, this game really is the father of the looter shooter genre, and that genre has become one of my favorites. Borderlands 1 is a game that made me a fan of something I didn't think would work. It brought me so much joy as a kid, and now, as a 32-year-old adult, the class variety, weapons, loot cycle, and overall fun bosses made for an amazing experience. Even with the issues I mentioned, I 100% say you should give this game a try. Just know that the best is yet to come.
It's cute that y'all think you're the heroes of this little adventure, but you're not. Welcome to Pandora, kiddos.
Whenever I think about Borderlands 2, I always remember a funny story from its launch. Me and a couple friends went to the midnight release, grabbed our copies, and rushed back to my house to start a split-screen playthrough. We told ourselves we had a hard cutoff at 2 a.m. since we had school the next morning.
Right, yeah.
Of course, that didn't happen. Next thing we knew, it was 5 a.m. We all looked at each other and decided, yeah, we're skipping class today. We figured it would be harmless. One day turned into 2, then 3, and eventually we just kept skipping class until we finished the game. In my case, I made the not so great choice of just not going back to class at all for a long time. Years later, I did finally return, but I can honestly say Borderlands 2 played a role in derailing my college degree.
Yeah, that was definitely the reason.
That's how addictive it was. To this day, I've put around 236 hours into Borderlands 2 and the Handsome Jack collection on PS4. It's easily one of my all-time favorite games. Is it perfect?
Definitely not.
But replaying it all these years later has only cemented my view. Borderlands 2 is a game I'll never stop loving.
You know the hero's gonna win, but you just don't die.
Handsome Jack is gonna kill us all unless you can stop him.
Oh, buddy. Where do I even start? The story in Borderlands 2 is one of the biggest upgrades, not just from the first game, but honestly across the whole series. Every game that came after has been chasing the peak this one set. The stakes are higher, the characters you already know and care about are thrown directly into danger, all thanks to the new antagonist, Handsome Jack. Borderlands 1 was the appetizer. It had to set up the world and tone. But Borderlands 2, this was the main course. It takes that foundation and adds history, emotional stakes, and relationships that can actually be destroyed, making every moment hit harder. And then there's Handsome Jack himself, the absolute star of the show. From his sharp one-liners to his constant presence.
This jackal rushes me with a spoon. A freaking spoon, and I'm dying laughing, right? So I scoop out his stupid little eyeballs with it, and his kids are all, wah! And I can't even, he can't see where he's going. He's bumping into stuff, and anyway, I don't know, maybe he had to be there. The moral is, you're a total bitch.
He's not your typical mustache-twirling villain. He's psychotic in a believable way. Someone who thinks he's the hero of the story. The scary part, he's so damn funny and charismatic that you almost start believing him.
Hey, how did Brussels suck? How's your day been, buddy? We haven't really talked much since I left you for dead. Hey, you think you'll freeze to death out there? No, probably not. Bandits will get you first. My day? Been pretty good. Just bought a pony made of diamonds. Yeah, because I'm rich. So, you know, that's cool. Goodbye.
Right up until he does something horrifying like casually murdering innocent people.
My husband gave me a skag pearl ring. The pearl released hunger-inducing pheromones.
Oh, you know what? I am so sorry. I just, forgive me. Where's your husband now?
He's dead.
That is a heartbreaker. But you got something in common with him now, at least.
On top of Jack, we also got some amazing new faces. Sir Hammerlock, Ellie, Tiny Tina, and my personal favorite, Mr. Torque.
On Pandora.
Ring! You don't want to hear about that, Vault Hunter. You want to hear about loot and packs and explosions. I'm Torque, and I'm here to ask you one question and one question only. Explosions?
The writing in this game is out of the park. The main story is gripping, but even the side quests shine. From Claptrap's hilariously awkward birthday party.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thanks for coming to my party, Minion. It looks like I bought way too much pizza. So, take some home if you want. That was the best party I've ever thrown.
One of my favorite missions is literally called Kill Yourself, where you have to decide, well, exactly that.
I will pay you to kill yourself. I've got a perfect spot all picked out for you. And you don't want to? That's fine. Call the Hyperion Suicide Prevention Hotline and you'll get nothing. But if you want a huge reward, you jump off that cliff and become my bitch. Take your time.
Visually, it was another huge step up. The cel-shaded comic book style returned, but with way more color and variety. Snow-covered peaks, toxic swamps, wide open plains. Thanks to an upgraded Unreal Engine 3 and a killer art team, everything felt bigger, sharper, and more alive. Enemies, bosses, and environments alike. Performance was a lot smoother, unlike my runs on Borderlands 1, even with the Enhanced Edition. Borderlands 2 never once crashed on me. Quality of life changes made a huge difference too, like playing Axton and throwing out your turret, and it staying active even after you go down. For solo players like me, that was a game changer. Like I mentioned before, I went with Axton, the turret soldier. You could probably tell I like using turrets. The expanded skill trees really help make solo play more viable and flexible compared to the first game. And then, of course, we have to talk about the guns. With manufacturers like Jacobs, Torque, Malawan, and more, each brand felt distinct. Jacobs with its hard-hitting, fast-reloading weapons with no elemental effects, Torque with its explosive projectiles, and Malawan with its elemental chaos. This was where the series really nailed the sense of identity, where players could fall in love with a specific manufacturer and feel a sense of loyalty to their favorite brand. Borderlands 2 didn't just expand the series, it defined it.
Hey, buddy, it's me, Roland. Let's kill Handsome Jack and then we'll all go out for milkshakes.
The first DLC, Captain Scarlet and Her Private Booty, is set in a desert region called Oasis, where the Vault Hunters meet Captain Scarlet and help search for the lost treasure of the sands. Captain Scarlet and Her Pirate's Booty is a cool DLC, all sand dune areas with some interesting characters.
Now give that to Scarlet, along with the tapes, and she'll love me again. And if she doesn't, I'll follow her, and I'll smell her, and I'll just make her love me.
Also, the addition of the new sand skiff vehicle is great, but short-lived, due to it only being able to be used in the DLC. Story was honestly forgettable, so I would recommend skipping this one.
We at the Tour Corporation sincerely believe this is fucking awesome! It's so awesome that we're gonna set up a tournament to find us #1 badass. If you want in, come to where the vault is buried, in the badass crater of Badassitude!
That's not what the area is called!
Badass crater of Badassitude!
The second DLC, Mr. Torque's Campaign of Carnage, finds the Vault Hunters in a new tournament inside the crater of a giant exploded volcano hosted by Mr. Torque. The winner will claim access to a brand new vault.
That sentence had too many syllables! Apologize!
Mr. Torque's Campaign of Carnage is a fun DLC. You know my feeling about Torque.
Right now, you're ranked 50th in the badass leaderboards, which puts you behind my grandma, but ahead of some guy she come to death. It took several hours. If you want to open that vault, you gotta rise in the leaderboard. Also, you need a sponsor for motherfucking legal reasons. Get to the arena and we'll say
At this point, I think if you make anyone yell, it would automatically make me laugh. Unfortunately, this DLC has a bunch of invisible walls, especially during the death race. Also, the last fight was interesting, but due to not having a crazy amount of extra enemies to kill in case you were downed, it could cause some problems for solo players. Lastly, the environment is a bit stale with the visuals of everything. At the end of the day, I recommend this solely on the fact that Torque is so goddamn funny.
Grats, motherfucker! Also, you should treat Moxie nice. Nothing is more badass than treating a woman with respect.
If you don't like him, you could probably skip this one.
Danger, excitement, mustaches. It's time for another episode of Vault Hunter Adventures.
The third DLC, Hammerlock's Big Game Hunter, sees you going deep into the wild jungles and swamps of Agris, where Sir Hammerlock invites you on a safari to hunt down dangerous beasts. Hammerlock's Big Game Hunter is an overall skippable DLC. Enemies are annoying and not that interesting to fight, especially voodoo, witch doctors, and shielded guys. Story was not memorable except for the last boss, which I gotta admit, took me by surprise. You can skip this DLC.
The world is on the brink of going boom boom. This is our most desperate hour. Unless we make a stand here and now, we're gonna die. Now.
Roll for initiative, suckers!
The fourth DLC, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, is the most unique one. It sees you playing a game of Bunkers and Badasses, a D&D clone, hosted by Tiny Tina. You will adventure through a fantasy world filled with knights, wizards, skeletons, orcs, and dragons. Play it. Done deal. Okay. I'll explain it a little bit more. All right. Dungeons and Dragons, but in Borderlands with Tiny Tina running the game? I know. This is the DLC that was so good that they made this into its own game. Story is quick and sharp. Enemies are diverse and fun to fight. The locations are brand new and honestly, a good departure from the drag sand and post-apocalyptic venue. I'm looking at you, Torque.
The gatekeeper is now Mr. Torg.
Woo! Well, good to see you. Wow! So I'm a gatekeeper, huh? In that case, you gotta prove your badassitude to get past me. First task, blow up the village's scouting blimps with the fire weapon. Because reasons!
Overall, a fantastic and best DLC to date. 1000% worth the playthrough.
Hello, old friend. Been a while, hasn't it? I bet you're wondering what became of our Vault Hunters. After the death of Handsome Jack and the fall of Hyperion, the Crimson Raiders set their sights beyond the stars.
The last DLC is Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary. A new faction, the New Pandora Army, led by Hector, is trying to spread mutating spores that transform people into planet-like Varkid-style creatures to seize control of Pandora itself. Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary is an interesting one. This DLC came out 7 years after the release of Borderlands 2 and 5 years after the most recent DLC. This is a direct sequel and great intro directly into Borderlands 3. It's short and sweet, around 2 hours, and overall, I had a great time playing it. My main issue with this is the character you meet that unfortunately leads into Borderlands 3. I will explain more once we get to it, but overall, if you got it for free when it first released, I say play it. It's a great send-off for an absolutely legendary run for one of my favorite games.
Sweet, sweet. Found it. All right, this is a song for Mordecai's stupid bird. Any. Are you what? Screw you. It would have been hilarious if I found it earlier. Shut up!
The map. The map.
Why the map?
The map is, by all means, terrible, just like Borderlands 1. It feels like they didn't learn anything and just kept confusing people with how things are laid out. On the topic of maps, the teleporters were few and far between. Most of the teleporters were at the beginning of the maps, and sometimes you are constantly running through the whole map to get to a small specific spot and having to do it constantly. It boggles my mind that this wasn't updated, and it still is a big issue in my eyes. Last is that there is no level scaling. I know some people might not like this, but for me, especially when I was playing this with friends, it was constantly an issue when my friend hasn't played the game for a long time and he can't do any of the missions I can. I only realized this was an issue once I started playing Borderlands 3 and up. It was a feature that I felt needed to happen. I love playing this game alone, but if I can bring anyone I want with me at any level, it would help me convince my friends to play the game with me. As a solo player, it doesn't really matter that much, but it's something that I was annoyed about. Even after all of the reasons why I didn't enjoy the game, I will always replay it. This is my favorite game in the series and one of my favorite games of all time. I shared so many great memories with friends making stupid decisions and just enjoying life. This game will always have a special place in my heart, and I will always recommend playing this. If you love a good story, an even better villain, a wide range of weapons, biomes, and actual good side quests, you will have the time of your life. I can't recommend this enough. Unfortunately, this is where the series takes a turn. When Borderlands the pre-sequel first dropped, I completely skipped it. I don't know why, I never ended up playing it. I just moved on to other games. Probably Diablo 3 on PS4, if I remember right. Looking back, I realized I never really sat down and gave the game a fair shot. For this replay, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Not just revisit games I've already played, but also finally experience the ones I passed on. Right away, the pre-sequel stands out for a big reason. It wasn't developed by Gearbox. Instead, it came from Irrational Games, turned 2K Australia, and you can absolutely feel the difference. This game takes risks. Some land, most don't, at least in my opinion. And that's the unfortunate part. What makes it a little sadder is that after the release of the pre-sequel, 2K Australia ended up shutting down on April 15, 2015. So I grabbed my friend Sean, and together we sat down to see what the game was all about. So let's take a trip down memory lane and find out, does Borderlands the pre-sequel still hold up in 2025?
But today, we're going to save the world. Because on Elpis,
we're going to dance!
Yeah, we're not doing that.
The Vault Hunters this time around are an interesting mix, pulled from different corners of the series, while others wouldn't fully reveal their importance until later games. Athena came from the secret armory of General Knox DLC, Wilhelm was a boss in Borderlands 2, Nisha was the sheriff of Lynchwood in Borderlands 2, Claptrap, well, he's Claptrap. Jack, aka Timothy Lawrence, would go on to play a big role in a Borderlands 3 DLC. And Aurelia, the Baroness, sister to Sir Hammerlock. She would later play a key part in a major Borderlands 3 storyline. Each character has a story tied to the wider Borderlands universe, and because of that, they feel more connected and grounded than the usual random lineup of Vault Hunters. Even more importantly, the pre-sequel story directly leads into the events of Borderlands 2, with some wild implications for the overall narrative. Ever wonder how Jack became Handsome Jack? Or what pushed Hyperion into full-scale war against Pandora? This game answers those questions. Credit where it's due. 2K Australia delivered a proper origin story for one of the greatest villains in video game history.
Mad props, dude.
Outside of the two new Vault Hunters, Jack and Aurelia, the pre-sequel was pretty bare bones when it came to DLC, but it did get one standout addition, Claptastic Voyage.
Are you freaking kidding me? You hid it in there? How the hell am I gonna get it out? You know what, Harold? Leave it with me. I'll dig into it.
In the Claptastic Voyage, you and your Vault Hunters dive into Claptrap's mind to extract a top-secret code. It adds surprising depth to Claptrap, exploring his insecurities, loneliness, and his desperate need for acceptance.
Oh, come on! Claptrap's worst fear is being alone? That's it? I was at least expecting tentacles.
No, see, I'm his fear of other people's loneliness. His heart doesn't point inwards to himself, but reaches outwards to others.
At the same time, it leans fully into the weird, quirky chaos of his personality.
Now, I've got two guns here. One's fully loaded, and the other has no bullets at all. This one's for me, and that one... No, wait, this one. No, that one. Wait, this one's for me. Now, let me check. Other way around.
The setting was also a refreshing break from the moon base, which by that point had started to feel stale. I absolutely recommend giving this DLC a try. It's easily one of the stronger pieces of content in the pre-sequel and Borderlands series as a whole.
If I sound pleased about this, it's only because my programmers made this my default tone of voice. I'm actually quite depressed.
First and foremost, probably the biggest thing I hated about this game was the moon-style jumping. So you jump super high like you were on the moon. You would think that would add a lot more traversal ideas and help you gun down foes. Well, quite the opposite, in fact. My aiming was pretty bad already, but add a moon jump and it was terrible. Caused more issues and solved nothing in return. Another thing I noticed while playing was that this was a half step of a game that reused assets from Borderlands 2. While not a bad thing, it just felt like we played this game already and had a better time in the game before. Also, this might be preference. I really didn't like the railgun at all. Sean used it a lot, which is fine, but I just didn't enjoy the style of gameplay. Staying on topic of weapons, nothing was interesting and nothing did cool things. It just felt rehashed. The ending boss, the gunfight felt repetitive. We ended up doing it 2 times. One for the main story and one for the side quest. And the second time around just solidified that opinion. Recommending Borderlands a pre-sequel is tough. Feels like a half step of a game. Lots of reused assets, gameplay that didn't evolve much from Borderlands 2, and the floaty space jump mechanic honestly took away from my enjoyment. That said, the real highlights are the main story focusing on Jack and the Claptastic Voyage DLC. Both are absolutely worth experiencing. Jack's arc adds depth to one of gaming's best villains, and the DLC gives Claptrap a surprising amount of nuance you won't find anywhere else in the series. If you are a hardcore Borderlands fan, it's worth a play for the story alone, but if you are mainly here for sharp gameplay and satisfying loot, this one's an easy skip. Unfortunately, the story quality really nosedives after this entry. Where do I begin with Borderlands 3? Back in 2019, I had the privilege of going to PAX West, and one of the biggest reasons I went was to get my hands on Borderlands 3. I wanted a first-hand feel of the upgraded systems and visuals, and I wasn't disappointed. I played through the first mission leading up to the boss fight with Mouthpiece, and had an absolute blast. Sliding, vaulting, and experimenting with the new weapons felt fresh and exciting. I left that preview with high hopes. At the time, my only concern was the dialogue from the new antagonists, the Calypso twins. Even during that short demo, some of their lines felt a little cringe. Still, I brushed it off, and I was just happy to be back with a new entry in a franchise I loved. Not long before launch, Gearbox released a Borderlands 2 DLC that tied directly into the sequel. It was short, fun, and free if you grabbed it early. A great little lead into Borderlands 3. But even there, you can already see hints of the story and dialogue issues that would become more apparent later on. Fast forward to now, after replaying Borderlands 3 and spending the past 2 months revisiting the older games, I've realized something. I genuinely enjoy Borderlands 3, but not for its story, characters, or writing. What keeps me coming back is the gameplay itself. The moment-to-moment action still shines, and all of the quality of life improvements added so much to the experience. Unfortunately, everything wrapped around that, the story, villains, and tone, feels like the weakest it's ever been in the series. But before I dive into the problems, I want to start with what I really enjoyed on this replay.
Is this one of those sex things you humans always talk about?
Like I mentioned earlier, Borderlands 3 introduced some huge quality of life improvements that really set it apart from the previous game. Simple but effective changes like vaulting and sliding immediately made movement feel more dynamic and modern. One of the biggest additions, though, was level sync. For me, it was a welcome change. I get why some players weren't fans, since it made every encounter feel a bit bullet spongy and prevented the sense of overpowering enemies by out-leveling them. But personally, I loved it. In past games, it was always frustrating trying to play co-op when my friends were at different points in the story, or at lower levels. Level sync completely removed that barrier, letting us jump into each other's sessions anytime without worrying about progression or balance. It kept us playing together consistently, and honestly, that alone made the game more fun and memorable. I'm glad it's a feature they're carrying forward. Another highlight for me was the variety of weapons. The sheer range of styles and manufacturers, plus alternate firing modes on many guns, added tons of variety to combat and gave you more freedom in how you approach fights. On top of that, Borderlands 3 finally brought back proper endgame content. Raids like the takedown of Mallow on Black Site, seasonal events like Bloody Harvest, Mayhem Mode, and extra side activities gave players plenty to do beyond just the story. It let you tailor your playstyle and kept the game feeling fresh for much longer. This was a stark contrast to the pre-sequel, which really lacked meaningful endgame outside of DLC. With Borderlands 3, Gearbox created a content-rich experience that offered more ways to play, experiment, and keep coming back.
Hope you're ready for action.
Moxie's heist of the Handsome Jackpot brings back Timothy Lawrence, Jack's doppelganger from the pre-sequel. This time, the adventure takes you to a massive space casino, Handsome Jack's old playground, where Moxie enlists you to raid the place and claim the riches inside. On paper, it's a great setup, and there are definitely fun moments throughout. The final boss fight in particular stands out as a highlight. Unfortunately, the DLC stumbles in some familiar ways. Technical problems like broken voice comms carry over from the base game.
No problem. I'll fix him up and reprogram him. But what were you thinking? I know they tried to kill you and all, but it is what they were designed to do. No problem. I'll fix him up and reprogram him.
The writing doesn't quite hit the usual Borderlands charm, and the whole experience feels a bit too short for what it could have been. That said, it's still worth a playthrough if you're invested in the wider Borderlands story. Timothy's return and the little ties back to the pre-sequel, including Claptrap's involvement, gives it some extra weight. It may not be the strongest expansion, but it's a fun, if short-lived ride. I recommend playing this DLC.
Oh yes, the festivities are quite well in full swing.
Guns, Love, and Tentacles takes us to the frozen world of Xylogors for the wedding of Sir Hammerlock and Wainwright Jacobs, with none other than Gage, the Necromancer from Borderlands 2, making a return as the wedding planner. The setup is fun, facing down a cult obsessed with worshipping massive, long-dead monsters, and the new environment feels fresh to explore. Gameplay-wise, it's solid and delivers that familiar loop of loot and combat in a new setting. Wainwright is definitely the standout here. His southern charm and chemistry with Hammerlock add warmth and personality that kept me invested more than the main plot itself.
Alistair, he's a man of adventure. Dare and do, he'd say. He climbs mountains and tames jungles and loves every second. But that ain't my vintage. Sometimes I convince myself he'd rather be with someone a little more gung-ho, a little more exciting. Don't mind me. Let's hurry up.
In fact, I actually found myself enjoying the DLC more on my second playthrough than I did my first. That said, the DLC still suffers some of the same problems as the first expansion. A short story, underwhelming bosses, and technical issues, like when my character bugged out and I couldn't teleport without restarting the game. In the end, Guns, Love, and Tentacles is a fun but skippable DLC unless you're here for the characters. Bounty of Blood takes you to the frontier planet of Gehenna, where you team up with the local sheriff to defend the town from Devil Riders, a ruthless gang looking to claim the land and exploit its leftover technology. The DLC introduces the Jet Beast, a new vehicle with some fun design choices, but once again, it's locked to the expansion and can't be used in the base game. Did we learn this lesson back in Borderlands 2?
What the fuck, dude?
Narratively, the Western flair is a nice touch. Rose is solid, and the ever-present narrator adds a unique layer of style as you make your way across the wasteland.
Every respectable town's got itself a saloon. Perfect place to drink down some local knowledge and get the lay of the land. So figured the Vault Hunter.
That said, while it's a decent expansion, it doesn't bring enough to stand out. I enjoyed my first playthrough, but on replay, it felt more like a chore than an adventure. Would I recommend it? Honestly, no. It's skippable unless you're set on experiencing everything Borderlands 3 has to offer.
Really, man? Blow the flesh horn? You do know how that sounds, don't you?
Psycho Craig and the fantastic Flustercluck.
What did he say?
Psycho Craig and the fantastic Flustercluck brings back the fan-favorite Vault Hunter from Borderlands 2, throwing you headfirst into his chaotic mind as you search for the mythical Vault Hala. This is, without a question, the best DLC of them all. The writing between Craig's two personas is a standout. You witness the constant tug of war inside him, the struggle between wanting to be a normal person and the unrelenting bloodlust of a psycho.
I wanted to say thank you. To let them know they'd made me feel at home, and I'd never be able to repay them for that. But what I said was...
Straight through the anus! Hell yeah! I love this guy!
Yeah, classic Krieg.
Hope we see you there, Craig.
You remember now? They see more than the bloodshed. They see who we really are.
Fragile things.
Good.
It humanizes him in a way I didn't fully appreciate until this playthrough, adding real depth to his character. His longing for belonging and connection echoes the same emotional weight that Claptastic Voyage gave to Claptrap in the pre-sequel. What the DLC did for Claptrap, Flustercluck does for Craig. It shows the pain, trauma, and fractured mind that shaped him into the psycho we know. On top of the story, Craig's mind is an incredible backdrop, wild, unpredictable, and visually diverse. It takes you on a journey unlike anything else in the series. And to top it off, this DLC gave me the hardest boss fight I've faced in Borderlands. Beating it solo felt like a true triumph. If you only play one DLC from Borderlands 3, let it be this. It's heartfelt, intense, and unforgettable. I highly recommend it.
Next up, Promethea! Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.
With so much to love about Borderlands 3, its flaws hit like mountains. The story, the writing, and by extension, the new characters it introduces. Let's not sugarcoat it. The writing is by far the worst in the series. Almost every line feels like a bad joke, a pun that doesn't land, or toilet humor so juvenile it makes you cringe.
It's a quality wanted poster. It really shows off the old blood hand. Started wearing that during Blood Feud number 2. No, it was 3. That's right. Number 2 was the time I declared war against a mountain. Guess which one's still standing, bro? Death to mountains!
At least something like The Room is so bad it's funny. Here, it's just bad, like nonsense a toddler might find amusing.
What you got, Gate? Nothing, bitch! You got nothing! Come on.
Take the main antagonists, the Calypso twins. They're supposed to be charismatic live streaming cult leaders, but instead come across as edgy kids who just learned their first curse words. The game clearly wants them to be the next Handsome Jack. Witty, dark, and memorable, but they don't even come close. Every time they hijack my screen, I wanted to skip immediately. They weren't intimidating, just irritating.
What up, my Bandit Orphans? God Queen Tyrene coming at you live from the HBC. We're streaming, you're streaming, and we're all preparing to get into the Great Vault. Got some new converts today, and guess what? They brought us the Sacred Vault map. If that doesn't earn them a special place in the family, I don't know what does. But first, I want to get real for a sec. You've all accepted me, even though I wasn't born a bandit. My first words weren't blood feud or ribcage spelunker. But now we're all family, and family is forever. We'll start the ceremony after a few quick shout-outs. Stay bloodthirsty!
And it doesn't stop with the villains. The so-called allies are just as bad, if not worse. Vaughn and Ava are, without exaggeration, some of the most annoying characters I've ever encountered in this series. Ava is a spoiled brat whose reckless behavior causes constant problems, and yet the game treats her like she's supposed to be likable. She isn't.
Ava, I'm trying to keep you safe.
By just ditching me on the ship? You said I could be a vault hunter like you. You promised!
You will! When you're ready.
Vaughn, meanwhile, is a walking cringe machine. His jokes are the kind of thing only he laughs at, leaving everyone else groaning in secondhand embarrassment.
Now we're talking! Come on, let's get out of here. I'll lead the way, even though I'm totally unarmed. Can't let them know you're afraid and totally defenseless, bro. Bandit life!
I didn't want to root for these characters. I wanted them to shut up. Honestly, if the story had killed them off, I wouldn't have blinked. That's how wrong their writing feels. Allies should be characters you want to fight alongside, not ones you secretly wish you could shoot yourself. And then, laid on top of all of this is yet another returning issue. The map.
Jesus Christ, you again?
It's still a mess. No clear path, constant confusion about whether an objective is above or below you. It's less helpful than having no map at all. Somehow, across multiple games, they still haven't fixed this. Overall, Borderlands 3 is a mixed bag. On one hand, it delivers the best gameplay the series has ever seen. The movement updates, sliding, vaulting, smoother traversal are fantastic, and the addition of level sync is a game changer. I love this feature, and knowing it's here to stay in the franchise honestly makes me happy. But where the game shines in gameplay, it falls flat. Extremely flat in its story, writing, and new characters. The narrative is a mess. The humor rarely lands, and the cast is some of the most grating I've ever experienced. At the end of the day, I can only recommend Borderlands 3 if you play it with the voice acting turned off. That way, you can enjoy the great gameplay without suffering through some of the worst characters in modern gaming.
There is a world beyond the Borderlands. A world forged by wonder and ruled by fate. The battle between these powers has raged since the beginning. Evil and good. Villains and heroes. A vicious cycle, endlessly repeated. Wonder is the power of a cruel, unpredictable god. But fate, there's one alone who can wield fate. One alone whose story is in their own hands. The Fate Maker. That's you. Heavy, right?
Last but not least, let's talk about Tiny Tina's Wonderland. This game grew out of the stellar DLC from Borderlands 2, and it shows. From the start, it's a major departure from Borderlands 3 in almost every way. The gear you grind for is different, magic spells are introduced, you can fully customize your character and class, and new systems like dual specs add even more depth to gameplay. I never got a chance to play Tiny Tina when it first released, but I was immediately intrigued. The changes it brought, especially the overview map that harkens back to a D&D style board, made it feel fresh and exciting. While the game isn't perfect and makes some missteps, Tiny Tina Wonderlands succeeds as a bold, fresh take on the franchise. It's fundamentally different from traditional Borderlands entries, but did I enjoy the game? Let me explain.
Okay, so Paladin Mike isn't mine, but I met this cool nerdy barista on the EchoNet, and they said I could use their B&B character if I wanted, and I was like, hell yeah! And they were like, chuffed, governor! And I was like, ooh, I'm stealing that accent too.
Tiny Tina's writing and voice cast are honestly a major win in my book. From Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, and Wanda Sykes to the return of Ashley Birch as Tiny Tina, you could really tell the team put a huge emphasis on crafting a story that shines through the talent. The side quests are also a noticeable step up from previous games. One standout is a Pinocchio parody mission that gives us genuinely emotional storytelling, a father's journey to save his son.
Whatever sorcery this may be, I will never stop trying to rescue my Nico. I'm coming, son. Hold on.
It hit harder than I expected, and I found myself surprisingly attached to the characters. Another great addition is the variety the classes bring. At a certain point, you unlock dual class specs, which let you fully customize your characters to match your playstyle. I went full minion build with Graveborn / Spore Warden combo, and there's plenty of equipment that adds points to each spec, allowing even deeper character customization. On top of that, the game finally introduces a Borderlands first character creation system, letting you truly make the character your own. That level of ownership is something I've always wished for in the series, and it makes every moment feel personal. Honestly, any opportunity to create a character I can call mine is something I absolutely love. Unfortunately, there is no story DLC for this game and only dungeon packs for the endgame Chaos Chambers.
He's unkillable. There's a rare curse upon his crew. 'Tis known as plot armor. I know it well, for it be the same curse I bear. We'll be needing more than guns and ships to defeat him.
So one of the first things that come to mind about what I didn't like about the game was the loot. Especially the weapons was a major letdown. Early in the game, I felt like the guns just weren't hitting like they normally do in Borderlands games. Most of the weapons felt bare bones and uninspired. A friend told me they'd get better towards the end, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. The guns lacked the punch or unique flair that the franchise is known for. Maybe it was to fit the fantasy setting, but by the end, I didn't enjoy any of my weapons. Another issue was the random encounters. Sure, it fits the D&D inspired theme, but they often felt disruptive, throwing me into areas to fight creatures for subpar loot. Most of the time, it just wasn't worth the hassle and interrupted the flow of the game. At first, I loved the setting and the different locales, but by the end, the fantasy theme wore on me. The variety of creatures and monsters was interesting, but I found myself missing the human and psycho enemies I was used to fighting in previous Borderlands games. Finally, the endgame was disappointing. Essentially, it's a roguelite mode called Chaos Chambers, where you fight waves of monsters in an arena until you reach a boss. Where were the raids, the story-driven content? Instead, it was just a repeatable grind to farm equipment, and I never found it engaging. Would I recommend this game? This entry is a major departure from what we usually expect from Borderlands. The setting, the weapons, the classes, and even the story feel fresh and different, even if I have my gripes with some of them. It's a bold take that shakes up the formula in a lot of ways. I think this game will especially resonate with people who felt a little burnt out on the franchise and were looking for something new to reinvigorate the experience. I personally enjoyed my time with it, but honestly, I don't see myself replaying it much beyond my initial playthrough. That said, I still recommend giving it a go, at least once. It does so many things different that it feels like a refreshing twist on the Borderlands formula, offering a unique experience that's worth checking out.
Now, we are making all new characters. This is the newbies' first game, and I'm gonna make sure it's an adventure they'll never forget.
You ready, newbie?
Time for character sheets, baby!
I came in a bit before the opening set. I took the bet.
I remember when I was 16 and this franchise first came out. I never imagined I'd still be playing it 16 years later. Borderlands has been a constant in my life, a source of joy and chaos and endless memories. I hold so many moments from this franchise close to my heart. The late night ridiculous decisions I made in Borderlands 2, the excitement of lining up for midnight releases, and the hundreds of hours spent experimenting with new classes, builds, and specs. Every game left its mark, not just through gameplay, but through the memories they created with friends. Even though not every installment was a flawless hit, my love for the series never wavered. I cherish the humor, the quirky characters, and the way the games always found a way to make me laugh, shout, and sometimes groan all at once. The couch co-op feature gave me experiences even more special, and with couch co-op being from a bygone era, it was something I will always cherish. Borderlands has been more than just a game series. It's a companion, a collection of memories, and a testament to how games can connect people across time. I can't wait to see what Borderlands 4 holds for us. From the previews I've seen, it looks poised to become an all-time classic, and I'm thrilled to make even more memories with this franchise I've loved for so long. Thank you guys for watching. It took me a while to finish this video, and I apologize for being silent for so long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. It really does help the channel. Thank you again for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much. See you guys.